Okay. Right off the bat, there's an insanely cool analogy being made between Sarah Lynn and Ophelia from Shakespeare's Hamlet. For those of you who don't know, this is based off an actual painting titled Ophelia by Sir John Everett Millais, depicting the death of the titular character from Hamlet. This death is never explicitly shown, but is described to the audience via another character. And the description and symbolism of this death matches Sarah Lynn's struggle in a really stark way. Ophelia, decorating a tree branch with flowers, falls into a river but instead decides to float and relax, unaware of the danger she's in, as her light, flowy and airy clothing, due to the elegance, keeps her afloat. This relates to Sarah Lynn, immersing herself in the lavish Hollywood lifestyle, indulging in drugs and meaningless sex as her career climbed, not realizing the peril she was in at all. And then, in Hamlet, it's said that Ophelia's clothes eventually pull her down, losing all the air and trapping water inside, instead drowning her. That same lifestyle and glamour that Sarah Lynn threw herself in ended up directly causing her demise in this very episode, and this painting is a gloomy portent for where Sarah Lynn is going in the next 20 minutes. Not only this, but this is typically interpreted as a pose for martyrs or saints, which Sarah Lynn definitely becomes in Bojack's mind for the rest of the series.
Good morning, son.
Plus, this fairy tale-like opening highlights so well how great she's doing without that lifestyle.
I like your handsome planter pants. God damn it!
But once it comes back into her life, it interrupts that perception.
Goji berries, flax, chia, shark fin, and white rhino horn.
I do like this criticism of over-the-top, environmentally damaging, healthy dieting that rich people are so often fond of.
Sober, so good. Whew. Bojack?
Hey, Sarah Lynn. You want a party?
And then Bojack immediately interrupts that peaceful atmosphere as well. He is the direct reason her sobriety ends.
Well, the truth is, it's actually been a very difficult.
Didn't catch that, but everything's cool.
This is played for laughs, but it does show that neither of them are particularly interested in dealing with their emotions. This is kind of just avoidance.
Why would I make my body a temple? I've been to temple. Temple is super boring.
Another painting alert. This one is titled The Birthday by Marc Chagall, and it depicts a moment of young love between a couple. The man has given her flowers, but trying to express his deep admiration, he leaps to kiss her as well, defying the laws of physics as we know them. Sarah Lynn takes the place of the woman in this painting. One interesting thing I've noticed is that the woman receives the flowers but almost seems to be running for the window, where the man blocks her path. This painting is typically interpreted differently as a loving embrace between the two of them, but I kind of see it as the woman almost being trapped by the frills and beauty of the relationship, like Sarah Lynn was trapped by Hollywood. Such great symbolism there.
Let's get some booze and drugs. We can clear out my bank account. I got nothing left I care about.
So casual and humorous, but when you really listen to these lines, they are so horrifying and alarming. I got nothing left I care about? Jesus Christ!
LSD.
I also don't think it's a coincidence that this painting is abstract and contains large amounts of LSD. Sarah Lynn having so many drugs around her house is also indicative of the fact that she never really intended to stay sober forever. She was doomed, drowning in that lifestyle, like Ophelia. And then the episode's pace starts to reveal itself, fast-forwarding to them knee-deep in beer, bourbon, and bumps of cocaine. It really tenses you up in an effective way.
What about the one where the whole episode was fat jokes and then Joelle got an eating disorder?
Everything was so much simpler back then.
She had to go to a clinic. She missed like 5 episodes.
I love this clarification from Sarah Lynn because, no, it was not simpler back then.
And we weren't worried about our legacy or awards. Because buildings are supposed to be rectangles, goddammit.
And then this first blackout ramps up the tension even further. It doesn't take long for us to get to an alarmingly drunk/high point.
I must have blacked out. Maybe I should lay off the alcohol for... And I said, you're sitting on the pizza, Mr. President.
And this one moves the tension up further, proving that he can't control it, even if he wants to stop. Very realistic portrayals of the beginning of a bender and how it spirals downwards so quickly.
It's amazing that it's legal for kids to be actors. How is that not child labor? I didn't know what I was signing up for.
Sarah Lynn makes an incredible point.
You know what really kicks ass? The planetarium.
That sounds stupid.
Planetarium setup, and it's smart to have it shot down by Bojack so that it feels more gratifying and kind when he decides to go with her later.
In a terrifying cycle of drinking, lifting my head up, drinking, lifting my head up.
This is such an interesting animal joke because it's more about that little trinket than the actual animal.
Nowhere in the 12 steps does it say to not drink. That's not actually one of the steps. Loophole.
I mean, she's wrong, But she's also right. It's not one of the steps.
One time I didn't want my friend to move out, so I used character actress Ann Dow to help me sabotage his hip opera.
Oh, please, that's baby stuff.
Referring to this season 1 mistake as baby stuff when it was so tense when we first discovered it, we've gotten so much worse since then. It's a great way to show the scale of Bojack's alcoholism and how these people are on the first steps of his path and seeking help, and he's still so far along and not at all.
I once went all the way down to New Mexico to see a woman that I knew, and she had a young daughter, Penny Carson, and that's her real name. You can look her up, I don't care. And first,
Bojack telling this with such confidence shows that he actually wants to be punished and held accountable by someone here, but he just can't do it himself yet.
where's my trophy or chip or whatever?
And then we cut to them driving and hitting nearly everything. I'm stressed.
It's a never-ending cycle where you always end up feeling good about yourself.
It's crazy that this moment is so small and played as a joke when in any other show it'd be a series-ending disaster that he just hit someone while drunk/high driving. We're so deep, it doesn't even matter to them anymore. It is such a wild place to see someone be in. Bringing this poor family back just to be abused, is this their only purpose?
Yeah, you gotta use parallel joints to support that foundation, dumb shit!
Hinting at Sarah Lynn wanting to be an architect.
You have a real thing with food.
That's what happens when you mix the appetite of a horse with the appetite of someone with a hole inside him that needs to be constantly filled with attention, food, and sex.
A very literal description of his exact issues. It's so realistic for him to know that there's a problem and admit it, but just not go any further than that because actually doing work is hard.
Making amends, assholes!
Again, so not a huge thing, but he broke Diane's wrist. That's so bad! So much happens in this episode, there's not even time to address everything awful they've done. And, by the way, Diane is an absolute gem for never bringing it up, especially since he's mourning the next episode. Stealing some spaghetti strainers on the way out. Still hinting at that climax that's coming next episode, huh?
I want to take full responsibility for what happened, even though it is not my fault and I did nothing wrong.
Right. Full responsibility. Thank God this isn't actually Todd.
That movie star is really taking a shine to our boy. You think this is our big break?
You don't think he's inappropriately interested, do you?
What? No. But if he is, that could also be a big break.
Highlighting the ugliness of Shoba's parents.
How could you think that this is about the Oscar campaign? We had something more, didn't we?
It's so tragic to see Bojack plead for something that we as an audience knew was never going to last. I don't think I ever thought Anna was actually interested in Bojack as a person.
Oh, that deep down, you're broken too. And I don't know why you won't just give us a chance to be broken together. What about that doesn't appeal to you?
I love this line. What about that doesn't appeal to you? I don't know, Bojack. Why don't you take a real long think about what is unappealing about your current situation?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Poor PC. You could see this really hurts her to see him like this, especially after she tried so hard and he threw her and pushed her so far away.
Tonight, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
The time jump's getting longer doesn't really help my anxiety either.
After I almost drowned, I became a lifeguard. My instructor told me that there are going to be times when you'll see someone in trouble. You have to stop yourself because there are some people you can't save. Because those people will thrash and struggle and try to take you down with them.
Oh my god, 5 points for this story. The music behind it, changing it to a more serious tone, explaining why Anna keeps her distance, and perfectly illustrating the important lesson that you don't have to save everyone you meet, especially if they might drag you down, and encourage you to be broken. It might seem cruel, but it's true.
Let's turn this car around right now.
I love how inevitable all of this seems. No matter how hard Bojack tries to stop it, he's already gone too far.
You think it's too late for me to go to college? I always wanted to be an architect.
This is so sweet, and makes the ending even more tragic.
On this hand, all right. God damn it!
This sign is such a great
She's
gag.
drinking beer. Oh god, this is just like the episode of Horsing Around when Olivia went to the frat party. But Penny doesn't have a kind angel played by Jose Canseco to help her get out of this jam.
They always nail the sitcom tropes.
Maybe I didn't ruin her life.
Hey, you were a father figure who was sexually inappropriate to me, and I turned out perfect.
Bojack?
Oh,
What are you doing here? Did you come here to find me?
no,
You can't be here.
This moment is immediately frantic and dark and plants such a terrible feeling in the pit of your stomach. It's amazing they can accomplish that so quickly, but showing us that she was likely okay and then having Bojack traumatize her yet again is just even more horrifying and sad than I'd ever thought they'd go. And we know from season 6 that Penny really does take this very hard.
Well, I'll be a dick sucked by a dumb shit. What do we have here?
Bringing this back from earlier in the season to wreak havoc. And this is where we hit the point of no return. The fact that this removes us from the blackout structure that the episode had is really jarring and terrifying for the viewer. We don't know where Bojack or Sarah Lynn is, or if they're all right. We don't even know if this flashback is particularly real, especially since there's so much imagery involved.
Disjointed blackout structure with the one flashback in the middle really confused our audience.
Of course, audiences hate meta jokes. When will comedy writers learn?
And I love that they make fun of themselves so heavily, even poking fun at the fact that they are poking fun at themselves.
I was thinking guest star.
Oh, what about Sarah Lynn?
Oh, that's genius.
The earthquake is genius to use as a way to show the disastrous nature of this scene. Bojack's ask to Sarah Lynn in the next episode is heartbreaking, and is shown to be one of the last true Sarah Lynn moments, until he reveals he's only there for business. I love how it ramps up the closer they reach to making the decision to use her, just like everyone else in her life has.
She's the only hope we have to keep this show alive. Would you ask her? I'm sure she'd do it for you. You're like a father to her.
The "you're like a father to her" hits like an absolute gut punch and is an excellent end note for this sequence.
Hey, how long have we known each other? Feels like our entire lives.
Putting them back in one of the locations from Sarah Lynn's introductory episode, where they bonded like father and daughter.
But you and me, we don't want anything from each other.
I love the rapid blackouts, and especially how Bojack's speech is continuous throughout them really gives us a strong sense of what this experience is like for him. Sarah Lynn's eyes slowly closing and her lack of response is not only a terrifying fake-out, but a gloomy portent for what's to come next.
I accept this on her behalf. And if you're watching this, Sarah Lynn, wherever you are, please come home.
And not only is it depressing that Sarah Lynn was taken away from possibly the happiest moment of her life, but the plead from her family with such genuine worry puts a much less fun and goofy context on this whole bender, if it wasn't removed for you already. To the rest of the world, she's missing, maybe already presumed dead, and nobody gets to see her again before she actually does pass away. And it hurts me to know that her stepfather likely sexually abused her, but she still feels attachment to them because they're the only family she has, even if they did severely mistreat her.
And now I've done it, and Bojack, I don't like anything about me.
I love that Sarah Lynn feels the exact thing Diane said Bojack would feel if he won an Oscar. It's great for a moment, but then you go home and you don't know what to do with yourself. It doesn't fulfill you, and in fact, it leaves you emptier than you ever thought possible. And then you're like, what do I actually want? In her case, to be an architect.
None of this is me. These boobs aren't me. This house isn't me.
I also love that Sarah Lynn is finally able to break through everything that has controlled her and molded her, and find that one part of her that is still actually there. Able to recognize how far she's changed, and how far she's gone into territory she doesn't want to be a part of.
The only reason I wear this shirt is because some company paid me $8,000 to wear it. And I don't even need the money.
This shirt deal is spoken about a lot, mostly because it's really telling. She's always worn this shirt in every episode. It's her trying to cling to the relevancy and lifestyle that is now dragging her down to the pits. It's absolutely tragic.
What am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do.
And now the child in her comes back, simply looking for some direction, as nothing has turned out as she wanted it to because nobody actually let her make her own decisions.
And I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to the planetarium.
Really?
And Bojack concedes to finally go to the planetarium with her in an incredibly touching moment. Sarah Lynn's excitement and disbelief when she says, "Really?" is so full of childlike wonder, it's hard not to choke up. Oh, beautiful shot of the two of them.
I want to be an architect.
Sarah Lynn's last words being the dream she never got to live. Utterly heartbreaking.
Our lives are but the briefest flashes in a universe that is billions of years old.
The fact that this planetarium narrator is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Grand scheme of things, we're just tiny specks that will one day be forgotten. So it doesn't matter what we did in the past or how we'll be remembered. The only thing that matters is right now.
I love how this moment is set up as a really heartwarming, if not slightly depressing resolution to the bender, but ends up becoming one of the darkest moments in the entire series. Bojack thinks he is finding peace with his life, but instead, the universe reveals the consequences of his vast amount of mistakes. His life does have repercussions, as much as he doesn't want it to, and the worst possible consequence occurred right in his arms to make sure that he never forgets it again. And I don't think he ever did.
Sarah Lynn?
If you'd like to see more content from us and get these videos early, you can go to patreon.com/PosiTVty. That's PosiTVty. Support us there for more content and early content, and it's a great way to help out the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.